All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who were very well, very beautifully. Double salutations unto the Akim out here pushing this gospel in truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon 8 houses. This is the Brother Quanah Watt from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with that edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. This is going to be a quick lesson, man. Lord will, through the spirit. Ultimately, just see where the spirit takes me, man. But, hey, man, we're getting into some cold times, man. You know, I had seen this article right here. I think it was like 4 or 5 days ago. It happened a few days prior. As it says 8 days ago. But it says, pop. Father shoots his own son 12 times while arguing with him over slammed door and fight he was having with his girlfriend, cop says, man. Right? So as you see right here on the left-hand side is going to be, you know, with the bald head, that's going to be the father. Right on the right-hand side is going to be the son. All right, let's get into it just a little bit, see what, you know, ultimately had, transpired. It says a Georgia father arguing with his adult son over his slamming of a car door in a fight the victim was having with his girlfriend shot the 32-year-old a dozen times and killed him, police say. Right? It says Durante Tolliver, 54, right, the father, right, is charged with murder for fatally shooting his son Durante Schofield last week at his Buckhead apartment complex in Fulton County. It says authorities told the outlet that Schofield crashed his SUV into the side of a building late Wednesday night, probably drunk or high, or, not paying attention, whatever the fuck it was, right? It says, and then called his girlfriend for help. She allegedly phoned police and made an anonymous tip about the crash, then drove Schofield back to his apartment. It says the couple began arguing once they got inside, and the woman called Tolliver to come over, which is the dude's father, which why the fuck she has, her boyfriend's father's, phone number, right? That's, neither here nor there. To me, that's, that's weird as fuck, man, And, in this world, man, you got too much of that, adultery, being committed, and it come from your own family members or whatnot, you know what I mean, doing that shit, So this shit right here is, ultimately weird as fuck to me, man, But it says police were also called in the building around 12:22 a.m. and were speaking with the girlfriend when Tolliver showed up to speak to Schofield. Right, it says cops say that the father and the son appeared calm and walked out of the apartment together to leave in Tolliver's vehicle. Once in the parking lot, however, they allegedly began arguing after Schofield slammed Tolliver's car door. Right, so he slammed the door. Jake be simple as hell, man. Hey, don't slam my damn car. You know what I mean? Don't slam the front door. Don't slam the doors. Don't, this and the third, man. It's really not that serious. But when that happened, it says the dispute escalated and Tolliver opened fire on his son. Right? Telling cops he believed Schofield was reaching toward his waistband as if he had a gun on him, according to investigators. Schofield was allegedly searched after the shooting and had no firearms or weapons on him. He was shot 12 times, according to police. So he killed his own son over a small-ass fucking dispute, man. Over a small-ass dispute. And he probably didn't even think that his son was going to fucking pull something out of his waistband, man. That was probably just an excuse that he said right after the fact, But again, right, this just shows you, man, it's cold ass world that we live in right now, man, and it's only going to continue, right, to increase, right, to continue to get worse, right. Now let me grab this other, right, this other one I was reading earlier today, right. It says baby found dead in swing after dad abandoned her to avoid drama with mom. Right, it says the man from Indiana is about to be put away for almost a decade after abandoning his 2 children. This includes a 3-month-old baby who was found dead in her baby's swing. According to the court, 26-year-old Jacob Vera pled guilty to neglect of a dependent of a level 3 felony and awaits his sentencing in December. Right? It says, let's drop down a little bit. right? It says officer made the shocking discovery of the baby Isabella Vera lifeless and unresponsive in her swing. The first responders then tragically pronounced her dead at the scene. The mother of the little girl, Jessica Brown, told the cops that she had left her baby and her 16-month-old child in the care of Vera around 2 p.m. so she can go off to work, right? It says Brown then came home at 8:30 p.m. and was horrified to find that Vera was gone and her children had been left without care. Her 16-month-old was crying uncontrollably in a pack-and-play crib, but her 3-month-old baby remained lifeless in a swing. The distraught mother took her baby out the swing and reportedly immediately noticed that she wasn't moving normally and had stopped breathing. She went to call 911. Then she found that Vera had left with the only phone, meaning she had to ask her neighbors for help. Right? So he just up and left, man. Right? Talking about avoiding the drama. You know, it says according to medical personnel, rigor mortis, right, is when the body starts getting all stiff and hard and, blue, right? It said it already set in for the 3-month-old, and she was believed to have already been dead for at least 2 hours. Another resident in the motel where the children were staying at told detectives that Vera had offered him $130 for a ride to Chicago, but he said no. Instead, Vera got a friend to drive him to Peoria, Illinois, more than 250 miles away. So he just left the kids, man. You know what I mean? That's some cold shit. And then what? Because if that's your, just coming from a, parent standpoint, right? I'm not leaving my child, right? If I have a problem with the other parent, I'm not leaving my child. I'm going to take my child with me, at that point, man. But this is, this right here, this is the shit that you start to see, right? As, wickedness increases, right? As crime is going to increase, you're going to see a lot of this shit, man. People just not giving a fuck. As the scriptures say, right here it says, Matthew 24:12, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, meaning wickedness is increasing in the earth, right? As it says in 2 Ezra, the 5th chapter, or it's like 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Exceedingly polluted the whole earth, man. So wickedness is increasing in the world right now, man. Especially with everything that's going on, we're going to start to see a huge uptick in crime. And you best believe stories like this are just going to get swept under the rug compared to the major crime that ultimately gets committed, man. But you best believe that this stuff is still going to continue to happen, right? People are going to leave their babies, right? People are just going to, discard of their babies. They're going to throw them in trashes, right? You had a woman, right, not too long ago. That's still a heavy one, man. You had a woman, right, that ultimately put both her kids in the fucking oven, man, and cooked them. And when the father came home, he had to take them out, and was just, yelling and screaming and crying, man. His baby's getting cooked, man. But this is the type of shit that we're seeing now because we're in a very, very, very cold time, and it's only going to get colder, man. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And when you go into that word cold, which this is a heavy word, man. That our elder apostles, taught us that, to go into words, man. We got to look up these words because it helps us understand, right? The times that we're in. It helps us understand the truth, right? Helps us understand the scriptures, the words of Yahweh B'Shem El Shai better, right? Then you got a lot of these, pagan Christians, right? A lot of these different other camps, man. They don't go into words, right? They're not teaching you, this stuff, man. But I want to grab this word cold, right? Strong's G5594. It says psycho, right? Psycho, right? We get the word, psychotic, psycho, right? But I want to grab it in, right? It says right here, what? Of waning love, right? Of waning love, But I want to grab it in the Google definition, right? The word psycho, right? It says what? An irrationally aggressive or cruel person, right? An irrationally aggressive or cruel person. And that father, right? He ultimately just sat there over something so small, right? Slamming a car door. You could just sat there, hey man, don't slam my door, man. And went on about the business, man. Hell, maybe the father did do that, man. And then the son just, straight up snapped. You know what I mean? We don't know what necessarily exactly what went down, but ain't nonetheless, right? Shooting somebody over, a fucking slam door. Arguing over a slam door. That shit's stupid, man. That shit's small as fuck. But see, again, this is the state that the people are in, right? Prices are high. People are losing their jobs. People are on edge, man. People are on extreme edge right now, right? And this is why, right, for those that, are ultimately, that see what's going on through the spirit, man, we got to, walk in wisdom to the best of our ability, man. And really ultimately try to avoid, right, these situations from ending up in these situations. It says what? Exhibiting irrationality or irrationally, exhibiting irrationally or aggressive or cruel behavior, right? Let's see if it says a little bit more. But there you go, right? Let me grab this real quick. And it's like, you got these fucking flies, god damn it. Right there, Colossians 4 and verse 5, it says, walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time, right? We know what time it is, right? Scriptures tell us in Ephesians the 5th chapter, right? To be circumspect, right? To look around, to pay attention, redeeming the times, because the times are evil, right? We know that we're in evil times, right? So we have to walk in wisdom, right? We have to ultimately move according to the scriptures. And the scriptures say, right, when people out here are getting aggressive and they want to, do this, that, and the third, hey, what scriptures say, when you're having a conversation with somebody, man, first and foremost, scriptures say to be at peace with it, with everybody, if it be possible, right? And if someone wants to come up and, start yelling at you, this, and the third, let's look this up, right? Right here, Proverbs 15:1, it says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So if you're going back and forth, right, you talking shit, that's in the third, it's also, somebody wants to, be in that type of spirit, you don't owe them a response, man. You don't owe them, some kind of like, you don't defend yourself, no, man. All right, man, you got it. Hey, my bad, man. It is what it is, and let them have that shit, man. And move on, man. So that way you can continue, right, to go on about your day, right? So you can make it back home, man. So you can make it back to your family, So that way we can endure, right? Most importantly, so that way we can endure, right, in this truth, being able to continue to serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua to the best of our ability, man. Right, as it says right here, verse 2, it says, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness, man. So, hey, ultimately, at the end of the day, man, you could just pay attention, man, and walk according to the scriptures, man. Walk according to the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, right? We're supposed to be meditating in these, in the scriptures, man, as much as possible, So really, this whole situation between the father and the son could have been avoided, right? That drama, right, between that, that man and his woman, right, could have been avoided, But see, hey, again, we in some cold times, man, And again, as as stated earlier in the lesson, right, through the spirit, man, times are only going to continue to get worse, So those that are able to see, right, through the spirit what's going on, they continue to walk in wisdom, man. Continue to walk according to the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua and applying these scriptures. Scriptures say to be not hearers only, but doers as well, man. But that's all I got, man. I just wanted to, touch on that. Lord will was edifying. Lord will straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua B'Hashem Rachak Wadash. Double honor to the elder apostles, elder bishops, the great millstone. Till next time, I say shalom.